Are you making enough of your small data? With Hall & Partners partner Oliver Hayward. Oliver joined Hall & Partners as an account director 8 years ago, working with clients that included UEFA, Eurosport, Magners and Cadbury. He then decided to focus solely on innovation, overseeing the development of digital tools and applications such as the Hub, which helps to deliver clients with new ways to aggregate, distill and inspire with data. We will be answering questions at the end, so please feel free to type in any that you may have throughout the presentation. We will email links to a downloadable copy of the presentation and a recording of today's session after the webinar has concluded. I'd like to now pass you over to Oliver.
Thanks, Jordan. So thank you everyone for joining the webinar. My name is Ollie Hayward. I'm a partner at Hall & Partners and I look after the Hub, which is our digital platform for data and insights delivery. So as Jordan said, please do feel free to type questions during the presentation and I'll answer as many as I can at the end. And if I don't have time to answer them all, I'll make sure I get back to everyone who's asked a question afterwards. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about our work with Direct Line Group over the last 6 months or so. This webinar is actually the same presentation that we did at a couple of conferences, co-presenting with Direct Line's Head of Market and Competitor Insight. But she's not available for the webinar, so I'll take you through the Direct Line side of things as well. Okay, so as with all big companies, Direct Line Group use a large range of different data sets on a daily basis to assess business and marketing performance. And some of this data is produced internally by various departments, and some is provided by external suppliers. As I'm sure many of you on the call today will recognize, the more data sources you use, the harder it actually becomes to bring them all together to see a full integrated picture. Systems develop organically over time, and inevitably you end up with a vast array of different spreadsheets, reports, and portals, each being prepared by different parties. There is often no person or system with the remit to actually bring this data together to provide stakeholders with the complete picture. And even this notion of a complete picture is actually very nuanced. Different people with different roles and levels of seniority need to have a different picture painted for them. So at the end of 2012, Direct Line realized they were regularly using data from 15 different sources spread over 12 different online portals. And each portal contained only the data set that it was set up to house, and each data set had a separate owner. They realized that portals like these are quite specialized and often particularly not very intuitive to use, and that nobody really has the time to gather data from so many different data sources, particularly when you can't actually remember the password for any of them in the first place. And because these different data sets are systematically unconnected, it's actually very easy, therefore, for usage and interpretation of this data to remain systematically unconnected. They realized that undoubtedly a layer of very valuable insight was being lost. So I think this point is illustrated very well in this quote, that actually real value can be gained from trying to get more out of what you've already got in-house in terms of data sets. So Direct Line decided that they wanted to create a single place for their insights team members to access and analyze all of their up-to-date key data sets, no matter who the supplier. And they thought about creating integrated Excel reports or using business intelligence software. But they'd actually already got quite a few of these in-house anyway, and they take up a lot of time. And more pertinently, the people they have in-house are really analysts, not programmers, and so the skill fit isn't good. And the last thing they wanted to do was actually create more work for their team. So they put out an RFP, and after reviewing various options, they actually decided that the Hub from Hall & Partners was the best fit and met their requirements. So what I'd like to do now is talk about how we've been working together to achieve their vision, and actually, more interestingly, how this vision has actually evolved since then into something that's really quite different from the original objective. So to give you some background on the Hub, back in 2011 we noticed a trend that I'm sure everyone else has noticed as well, and that's the demand from clients in their research RFPs to Hall & Partners for interactive access to their data. So it became very clear that we needed to offer our clients an interactive tool that would complement or potentially even replace our standard PowerPoint reports. So the first thing we needed to do was actually better understand the world of client data and data users before we just launched into designing and building some software. We wanted to unearth some real issues and challenges that could really represent an opportunity for this new product. So I interviewed a range of different insights managers, marketing directors, brand managers, and analysts. And what came out of all these interviews and discussions were, well, lots of interesting things, but the two most important recurrent themes were these. Firstly, data integration is absolutely key. So our clients are using different data sources on a daily basis to answer a broad range of questions around business, marketing, and brand performance. And what they were telling me was that pulling together these different data feeds into one place is time-consuming and very difficult. Existing platforms aren't suitable, or actually, even more to the point, nobody has the remit to even do it. Secondly, one size doesn't fit all. So different people need different views of the business, and though this sounds extremely obvious, the majority of reports and interactive tools don't actually cater for this fact. So you end up with these big monthly PowerPoint decks and interactive portals that are full of data, but really they're just a nice safety blanket to have. They're actually too big, too overwhelming, and potentially too generic as well for different stakeholders across the business who really only need particular subsets of that data. And what that means is that engagement with and use of data is often far lower than it should be. So the product opportunity was broader and more exciting than just building a cross-tabbing tool for interrogating Hall & Partners tracking data. It should be the single place for our clients to easily see all of their important data. This would also allow us at Hall & Partners to more easily deliver real insights covering the bigger picture. We wanted to increase engagement as well through ease of use, but also through very tailored relevance. I wanted our product to be valuable not only for insights teams, but also brand teams and marketing teams, and basically anyone who needed information from various sources to help them make decisions that weren't necessarily analysts. And commercially speaking as well, we also wanted to be able to sell this product to companies who weren't necessarily research clients of Hall & Partners. So when the brief from Direct Line arrived, we felt we were in a very good position to be able to offer them what I would call a real business intelligence tool. We'd launched the hub over a year previously. We'd had some sort of inevitable bugs and issues that come to light when you start working with real data and real users, and we'd ironed those out. And we'd already begun bringing in a range of different data sets for other clients. So we sat down together and agreed the objective. And as I said earlier, it was to have a single place for the Direct Line Group Insights team members to access and analyze all of their up-to-date key data sets from a host of different suppliers. So as of now, we actually have data from 5 different sources. And within each of them, we have a broad range of different metrics, slices, and comparisons. We've also made quite a few enhancements to the interface based on testing feedback. But what I'd like to do today really is share with you the 3 most important things that we've learned along the way. So firstly, it's easy to spend a lot of time worrying about what your platform needs to do in 12 months' time, or what it's going to look like when it's perfect. The reality is you have no way of knowing upfront what perfect is, and to be honest, it doesn't exist anyway. You also know, if you're agency side, you'll know that your client's going to change your mind a lot, and if you're a client, you should recognize that you are inevitably going to change your mind as time goes on. So I'd already talked to the team at Direct Line about how we had built the hub using what are called agile software development methods. And actually we agreed that we would develop and build the Direct Line, what we were calling super portal, using these same principles. So what is agile? Well, working in an agile way means you launch, you test, you learn, and you iterate. You build the smallest thing you can define that still delivers some value, and that's often called the minimum viable product. And you launch with that, and then you work in subsequent incremental iterations, and you base your effort on real in-market feedback rather than a host of upfront assumptions. And what that means is you get something to market quickly, and you develop it and improve it based on real feedback. Obviously, you still need to start somewhere though, and in the case of Direct Line, there were actually over 15 data sets that could be valuable to have in the platform, and in the pricing data alone, there are actually 30,000 rows. So where do you start? Well, in the RFP, the objective that was stated was to bring in all the different data sets into one place. But actually, the more we talked about it, the more we decided actually we didn't want to make this overwhelming and cluttered. So we decided to identify which metrics regardless of data source, were the most important ones for assessing business performance. And we also wanted to get something being used and tested as fast as possible, so we decided not to start with the hardest data sets. Secondly, after testing the hub with some pilot users, we got some pretty consistent feedback, and actually that thankfully matched feedback I was getting from other clients. And a lot of it was fairly easy to rectify, like making it more obvious what was clickable, that sort of thing. But actually we realized something more fundamental as well. And as it says on the slide, most people, when they're at work, don't actually have the time or the inclination to have a play around in a new platform. They need to be able to get information quickly and easily. And this actually very closely mirrored the fact that one of the most popular parts of the hub with our client base to date has actually been the static email reports that get pushed out to people's phones. So I'd always thought that if we made the hub really well designed with a highly engaging interface and user experience, that people would actually enjoy spending time putting together different data sets and metrics and building their own personalized dashboards. But really this was actually wrong. People just don't have the time to do that. And that's where working in an agile way has really good benefits. So we got that feedback quickly, and we could adapt the platform and our objectives accordingly. Finally, we realized halfway through testing that actually our objective for what we were trying to do was too narrow. And we were missing a huge part of the picture, namely the interpretation and the narrative. So having all this data in one place would make it a lot easier and faster for the direct line insights team to write integrated stories about business performance. But we realized as well that the same platform could be used to publish these stories along with the data to a wide audience across the business. So rather than being an analysis tool for the insights team with all their data sets and metrics, the hub needed to become a storytelling tool for the business. With only the data in there that is needed to tell the most important stories and no more. And we also wanted to make these stories as engaging as possible. So we designed a completely new landing page so that users don't go straight into the data, but instead, the first thing they see are actually the business stories. And then if they do need to go and understand the detail that sits behind them, there is very clear navigation to different dashboards and analysis pages. Okay, so I'm going to jump off now quickly the slide and show you a hub. I obviously can't show you the direct line hub for obvious reasons, but I'm going to show you a mock-up hub with dummy data for a made-up brand. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see that. This is the replica of the landing page that we've built for Direct Line. So rather than people jumping in straight into the data, they land on this page, and the first thing they see are actually stories. And as you can see here, we've got a story here based around data. We also have a news story that's been written for people to have a read of. So you can see these stories here. Just click on any story to see the full story. And scroll down. You can obviously have links in there as well. So really what you're seeing here is a kind of digital newspaper for the insights team and the insights team stakeholders across the business. We're going to be adding in additional functionality over time, such as the ability to push these stories out to people's mobile phones and also add comments at the bottom of stories as well. So from here as well, users can see all the different dashboard pages and data pages that they can go to conduct analysis and create reports. So if we click on one of these, for example, we'll go to a dashboard that's been set up containing brand tracking, spend, and sales data. It's very easy for people then to get, at a glance, a comprehensive but very quick view of how the business is doing. Users, although it's pre-prepared, users can conduct any particular analysis they want to, for example, comparing to specific brands, or actually running a dashboard based on a different brand completely. Very easy to export the data. If you want to share that, you can either export it into PowerPoint or you can export it into Clipboard. If I go into Excel, you can see very easy to get the data out of the hub and share that with people across the business. You can also from here create these reports. I'll click on this one, for example. This report enables you to have a preview of the report here. What this does is it generates this report. You can add your commentary, you can create a distribution list, and what this enables you to do is to actually set up reports that push out to people who either don't have the time or the inclination to actually log into some sort of interactive tool. So we're going to be using this quite extensively in Direct Line for certain stakeholder groups, and particularly more senior stakeholders who would never have time to actually log into the interactive version of the hub itself. I'll show you what this looks like in an email. This is the report in Outlook. You can see it's long and thin, designed to be looked at on a mobile phone. We also have other views as well, namely trend view, where we can actually look in a bit more detail at historical trends across data sets. So here, for example, we're able to compare brand metrics. You can compare multiple brands on a chart, or you can compare multiple metrics and multiple subpopulations and easily compare with your different sales figures and so on. So again, designed to be very intuitive and get people across the business engaged with data. Okay, so just to summarize, really, just some key findings, I think, from the journey with Direct Line, but also with other clients, and some what I suppose would be some key things I've learned that might be useful for you out there if you are thinking of going down this kind of route as well and building a similar kind of tool. Firstly, it's very important, if you can, to connect the dots. If your platform can actually help connect the dots between different parts of the business, it has a far better chance of being valuable. Secondly, your usability problem might be a business problem. Interface usability is absolutely vital, but actually far more important than that is that you're actually delivering users what they need. So it's important to look past comments on things like interactions and fonts and menus, because if users aren't actually using the tool, it might be that you're actually not just giving them what they want. And the last thing, I think this is absolutely the key finding for me over all the work we've been doing over the last few years, is to really try not to worry about what you don't know. Don't try to build absolutely everything from the outset. If you work in an agile, iterative way, you can really embrace and adapt well to what you discover. Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. It's okay to fail, just fail fast, learn, and become better. This quote from the CMO of Heinz, I think, is a really great one, just showing that working in an agile way isn't just restricted to software development. Would say, though, of course, that it's not easy. Agile and corporate culture really don't sit naturally together. However, if you really do allow yourself to kind of work this way and you really embrace it, and you successfully manage to empower others to understand the benefit of working in this way, and empower others to work in this way themselves, then I really think it can be a hugely successful approach. So in conclusion, I can say with some confidence that the Hub is really changing the nature of how the Insights team at Direct Line is working. It's really helping them become even more visible and even more valuable, really helping to put the voice of the consumer at the heart of the business. They can be more nimble and empowered, and they can spend more time on insights and stakeholder engagement. It really gives them the ability to have a single voice as a team. So we're about to push the platform out to even more people across the business, and it will soon be being used by over 100 people. Okay, all right, we've got a question here which says, do you find that some companies aren't ready for a tool like this? In our company, getting hold of different data sets is actually very hard, and there isn't really a culture of sharing data and giving people direct access. Yes, that's a very good question. I think the answer is yes. We do find that a lot of companies aren't ready for platforms like this. And I think really the answer is actually not necessarily that they aren't ready, but that they need to be worked with very carefully and slowly. So I think the answer is to move very slowly. I would say start with an easy, perhaps uncontroversial data set and get that up and running. So, for example, for clients of ours where we have Hall & Partners as where they are a Hall & Partners client, we nearly always just start with one data set, and that's nearly always the tracking data. Get that up and running, get that being used, demonstrate some value, get through any IT issues, that sort of thing. And then once it starts delivering value, I'll start adding a few top-level metrics from here and there, building up over time. from different data sets. So really the answer is to let demand drive the scope of the tool. I think a lot of people have been burnt by these kinds of things in the past, where they've spent a lot of money, they've given a job to a supplier, 8 months later, nothing's ready, and I think really that's just because people don't work in an agile way. So I think that's probably the answer. Seeing if there's any other questions. Got one other question, which is a more practical question, which is how do you go about getting all the data together and how long can it take? Well, we go step by step. We prioritize at all times. We speak to different data owners, and I think the answer really is to try and get data directly from the various sources rather than from our direct clients, because the last thing I want to do is create extra work for our clients, and in fact I want to do the exact opposite. So as far as us, the hub goes, at Hall & Partners, we actually just accept the data in whatever format it's in. We do any reformatting or other work ourselves. If it's media data, we get it from the media agency directly, or we download it from Nielsen Dynamics ourselves, just so we can actually kind of try and do all the work ourselves. So basically the answer is we do all the hard work, I guess. Okay, I think that's those are the only questions that I can see. Okay, well, thanks very much for attending. Very much appreciate it. If you do have any questions, please let me know. And as Jordan said, we will be sending out a copy of the presentation and a recording as well. So thank you very much, and hopefully speak to some of you soon. Thank you.